Hello and welcome to my railway, Bedstead Junction. It's quite late in the evening. It's Saturday, September the 3rd, 2022. And I thought I'd do a very brief video. Well, you know what my videos can be like. Brief, probably be about an hour, but anyway, we'll give it a go, okay? Now, it's just, I thought I'd do this quickly. This locomotive was featured briefly in my video I did earlier about the my brand new Manor class, Hinton Manor, a wonderful locomotive from Dapol. Only I got this locomotive out to give you some idea about what it might look like in line black, and obviously I don't have a line black version. If you did want to see a line black version, A.B. Puddin's bought that, and he's done a good review on that, so I would recommend you looking on his channel for that. But what we can see, it's really down to making a comparison really about what kind of locomotives were available quite some time ago. Now I'm just going to have a look and try to see when this locomotive was actually produced, and we'll have a talk about her. Let's just have a quick look now. Well, according to this, this locomotive was actually produced in the year 1991. I'm just going to double check I've got the right instruction leaflet. Yes, we are looking at locomotive R380 BR460 Loco Clevedon Court. Okay, as you can see, it's in BR black, lined this time, early crest, and you'll probably agree it's quite a nice little runner going around here. It's got the Ringford motor in the tender, okay, but really looking at it, I mean, normally the main giveaway of a Ringford motor would be an enormously high coal load, but really there's nothing really to suggest, looking at the tender, that this is in fact a tender-driven locomotive. Let's just watch her go around the other station over there, over our country station. I've not zoomed right in on this at the moment, and we will quite shortly. We have a look at her. Now, Clevedon Court's an interesting locomotive. It was one of the Saints classes, and it was the first of the 460 express passenger locomotives built for the Great Western Railway. Pardon me. Designed by George Jackson Churchward, and they were then superseded later on by the 4-cylinder locomotives, which would be the Star class, and then the Castles, and then ultimately the most powerful 460 locomotive on the Great Western Railway, the King class. Okay, so this is really the first of the 460s, as far as I'm aware. Like I say, designed in the early 1900s by Churchward, and I think he was chief mechanical engineer up to 1922, I believe. It was in the mid-1920s, and that's when he was succeeded by Charles Benjamin College. But anyway, as soon as we've seen her going around now, quite nicely. Putting my usual rake, about 3 GWR coaches. I mean, 1991, I mean, you're looking at, what, it's 2022 now, so it's what, 31 years old, is it, this locomotive? Getting a bit late tonight. It's 10 to 11 on a Saturday night. Now, we're just watching it fly through my new feature on my layout, which is the level crossing there. I know it's close to the edge, and you know, it would really be going nowhere if cars were going off this side or something. But it's about the only place I could position it on here where it would, you know, have any real meaning. I was thinking maybe of putting the level crossing on the other side of the layout, maybe, and then maybe you could have a kind of a road leading round to the country, to the branch line station over there. Perhaps maybe do something like that. But anyway, we're going to concentrate on our Clevedon Court. Clevedon Courts. Now, none of the Saints classes actually survived into preservation. Really, to be honest with you, I mean, by the time they got to the mid-1950s, when they were withdrawn, I think they were all withdrawn in the early 1950s and around about 1953, they were well and truly worn out. Okay, they've done millions of miles of service and everything else, but I think they were well and truly worn out. But they were known as very, very free-steaming locomotives, very popular with the crews and everything else. I think it's a two-cylinder locomotive, as opposed to the Star class and the Castles and the Kings, which are all 4 cylinders. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring her in and we're going to have a quick look at her. Sorry, we were looking over at the other station there, weren't we? So watching her go around over there in the distance. Let's bring the tripod back round again now. Very nice runner. Really is all I've done is just put a little bit of oil on this. This came out of someone's private collection, this particular one. I bought this nearly at the beginning of the lockdown. I have featured it in other videos in the past. But I thought it would be nice to revisit this locomotive tonight. Especially, that we're featuring sort of locomotives in black. Okay, now we'll bring her up to the signal, and you can see what she's like over points. Okay, we'll slow her right down there. Now this locomotive, if it runs true to form, it's never had any major issues with points. Okay, never had any issues at all. So we're just going to show proof of that, and we're going to pull this locomotive in alongside my lovely Hinton Manor, which I reviewed earlier today. So if you've not seen that video, it does go on for about an hour, but it was, I mean, there was just so much to include in that video. There's so much more that I wanted to include, really, but I thought if it ran into an hour, that was about about as long as I could take it for. I could take it too, without me running the bash out again and things like that, or running into the half-hour limit again. And I thought that was probably the right length. Now, what we're going to do then, let's pull this locomotive in now, and then we can have a look at her on the Lazy Susan. Now, this locomotive, I think, probably came under some criticism, the Saint class, when it was released, and we'll go into why that was, but then I'll go into why I think this is a good model. Okay, for its time. Now, there's always going to be, with modern railways, a kind of a dilemma between detail, durability, what kind of age range of person you want to envisage using this locomotive, and is it a model, or is it there to be played with? And this one is, I think, erring on the side of being something to be played with, and I'll explain to you why. You'll see why that is will become apparent quite shortly. Let's just turn the control up just a little. You watch this go over those points. Look at that. Okay, not bad for a 30-odd year locomotive, is it? In she comes, next to the wonderful Manor class. Now, obviously we're looking at two different manufacturers. We're looking at Dapple at the front, and then Hornby. Okay, so let's have a little look at her. Let's get the Lazy Susan out, shall we? And then we'll have a little look. So I don't think we've ever had this locomotive on the Lazy Susan. And there is something I'd want to just establish as well while we're here. Oops. Knocking everything over on my by the side of the layout here. So I've got a pile of boxes all stacked up over here, and they just come down in a kind of an avalanche Oh, well, never mind. Right, okay. Yeah, this is a point I'd like to bring about here. Their age range of people to be for this model what's going to be suitable for. If you can see it there, now you get away from the glare. Not suitable for children under 36 months. Okay. You know, made in England by Hornby. Hobbies Limited. Okay, a proper Margate product here. Okay, so it was envisaged that this locomotive would be played by children of 3 years of age and upwards. Now, we're just going to get on to Lazy Susan. There's the locomotive itself. We'll bring it round now. So there's our loco there. And we'll see if we can unhitch the tender as well without too much of a fight. There we go. And there's the tenders for this, okay? Now, probably the one thing that you'll notice about this one, first of all, is being a tender powered, it will that along freely, look, on its own, look. So that's quite good there. But what they did is that they included a fair bit of moulded detail on here, and you can see that there. The brake handle and the water scoop handle here are actually part of the moulding. Okay, now as long as you bear that in mind when you're looking at this locomotive, but you need to think to yourself, well, maybe they had a bit of a worry about small parts breaking off. I mean, I don't know what the thinking was a bit behind this, because pardon me, the model of St David, which I also own, which is in Great Western livery, that has got all that. And it's an earlier model. That is all separately fitted parts. Okay. The handrails are all moulded on there, but painted. I mean, so it looks fairly convincing. All the details there. I think probably about the only separately fitted part there is the vacuum pipe on the back there. Okay, no sprung buffers. Okay, and like I say, I think maybe the thinking behind it was that they wanted to make a model that could be played with without any fear of anything dropping off and maybe, you know, injuring a small child. I mean, when you look at the a lot of models today on the packaging, you'll see it's always not suitable for anybody under 14, and you know, only adults should be playing with this locomotive and things like that. And which is a great pitch in many ways, because we want to start people in the hobby quite young, and you know, I mean, maybe they envisage, so, you know, getting somebody as a child into the hobby, and they will be playing with a model like this particular one here. Now, apart from the fact it's got the moulded details on the back on the tender there, and a lot of the details are you know, a fair bit of details are moulded, it's still quite a handsome looking model. I mean, I quite like running this particular one. You can see it's got a nice lining on there, and the BR crest on it, and quite like the Dapple model. It's got a you can see that the nameplate's red and number plate's red. It's got the route marking on there. Let's have a look and see what that says. It's red. It's just marked as a red route marking. It number 2937. I mean, the number plate's quite well represented. And I think these were based, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think they used the chassis of the whole class for this particular locomotive. So if you were, you know, really sort of like in the rivet counting business, you will probably note that the wheel spacing is a bit wrong, I think, on this. But again, it's a locomotive to be played with, and I think it had to, at the time, had to strike a balance between, like I say, detail and durability. Okay, I mean, obviously today's models are fantastic. There's no getting away from that. Let's turn it around and we'll just see. Alright, so we go down the fronts. And you'll see it's got the number 2937 on there. The buffer beam with the vacuum pipe there. Again, no sprung buffers. You wouldn't have had sprung buffers in 1991. Okay, we'll just turn around there. We've got a few things represented here. And okay, yeah, it's lacking in some detail, I'd say that. Not many separately fitted parts. Okay, but still a very nice, handsome looking locomotive, and it's given me many hours of pleasure using it. Watching it run around my layout. You'll see, oh sorry there, I just handled it there. Probably just about to see there the reversing rod there. Okay, and you can see the nameplate there, Clevedon Court. See if we can zoom in on that, Clevedon Court. Now Clevedon Court, the locomotive itself, it was nearly saved from the cutter's torch. It was nearly saved, okay. What was intended, I think, was that the owner of Clevedon Court itself, which is in Clevedon in Somerset, so if you ever get a chance to visit, it's a National Trust property, okay. And it was intended that the locomotive we brought for display at the Clevedon Court mansion, but something actually thwarted the owner of Clevedon Court in his intentions, and eventually the locomotive sadly went to scrap. But I think he managed to save the nameplate, and I think the nameplate is still on display at Clevedon Court itself. So if you want to get a chance to see the one remaining piece of Clevedon Court, then it is there for you to see. There has been a Saint class rebuilt since from scratch, and I think that was called Lady of Legend, and it's at the Didcot Railway Centre. Okay, so again, if you wanted to see a Saint class up close and personal, and I'd love to get the chance to do that soon, then I'll probably get out and have a look at it myself. Now it's got a separately fitted handrail around here, so that's a nice touch. On a lot of the earlier locomotives, the handrails were moulded in, but on here that's a separately fitted part, and I think it's got a very nice representation of the copper chimney there, you can see there, and the brass safety valve. I mean, obviously the safety valve cover on the manor from Dapple is very shiny. I mean, that's obviously different modelling techniques there, but it's got the whistles on it as well. Everything else, I don't think it's got a glazed cab. Let's have a. I'm gonna have a close look. Don't mind me picking it up. No, I don't think it's got glazing on the cab. We'll see when we're finding out. No, these are the front windows on the cab there. You can see there. Oops, no glazing there at all. No. And evidence of that is you can poke a paintbrush through it there. Look, so no glazed cab on there for you. But still, I mean, a nice little model. And I thought I'd actually let you see what a model looked like from the the 1990s. It's quite robust. I mean, it's got, the valve gear there is quite robust. The crosshead there, that's all metal, and it's very firmly attached there. Everything is. I mean, all round a nice locomotive. Underneath, no brake rigging. Okay, you've got the solid chassis there. Not much detail underneath either, really. So, but certainly the axles are very easily. When you can see the axles are quite visible there for servicing, you can get those quite easily. All right, so that's the St. Class Clevedon Court, which you would have seen on the layouts earlier on today. Okay, now if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and you'll be made aware of future videos from me. And ring that bell as well, and you'll be made aware of videos as I make them. Okay, and I shall once again wish you farewell and good night.